So Jess, when you need a pick-me-up, maybe you're feeling a bit down, what do you listen to?
Ooh. Well, sometimes it depends on the situation. I have a very melancholy personality, so sometimes I lean really hard into the melancholy music. But I've been feeling really upbeat jams lately.
Really?
Some old school, some current. I'd say one of my classics forever has been Queen, Don't Stop Me Now. Always. I can't hear that and not
You
dance
have
to it.
to get pumped up.
Right. Don't stop me. I'm
yes.
moving no matter what. So that is on every playlist. Tom introduced me to a new song called New Shoes by Paolo Nutini. Do you know that song?
I think so.
You can't help but just smile and rock out and roll the windows down. It's so good.
I love that.
Pretty much anything by Joe. Have you heard of Joe? D-J-O?
No.
I don't know who, good.
Do you know who Joe is?
It's Joe Keery.
Okay.
He plays Steve Harrington on Stranger Things. And I did not expect. His music is so good. It's funky. It's a little 80s, but there's this beautiful love song called Potion that I am obsessed with right now, but pretty much anything. I think he has 4 or 5 albums out that are just stellar. Really good.
I'll have to look that up.
You will have to look that up.
You say Joe, and being a person of a certain age, I thought of Fat Joe, the rapper, who isn't one of the greatest of rappers, but I also can't see you listening to Fat Joe.
You'd be surprised. Like I said, it depends on the day.
Right. Eclectic. I like that. Okay.
Yeah. Those are some of my tops right now.
Okay. Mm-hmm. You'll have to keep sharing these and what new things come up.
I will. What about you?
So when I need to get a lift, when I need to kind of get amped a little bit, for some reason I always start with very depressing music. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's something important for how I'm wired to acknowledge where I am. Let's name that, and then I can start to move forward from there. So for the last year, and this is very much not a genre that I gravitate to, but I've been listening to I'm Not Okay by Jelly Roll. It's not the greatest song in the world, but it names when I'm listening to it, it names a very real part of where I am. I'm not okay. I'm barely getting by, but he gets to a moment of hope. So I start there. That's naming exactly where I am. And then I can get amped from there. But it has to be gradual. I have to curate it, right? I can't go from that to Journey or Queen or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I love this song, Be Still by The Killers. Again, I'm a 40-something guy.
The Killers.
I love The Killers. And there's a similar song, Be Still by The Fray, similar era as well. And they both quote Psalm 46, probably intentionally, but it's also, you have to know the middle of the psalm to understand it. So there's a calming presence there. So it's acknowledging I'm not okay.
So you're building.
And I'm building it up to things like a good song, Never Dies. The band is Saint Motel. It just really, I don't know why, it really gets me going.
I don't know that one. Okay.
Still Feel by Half Alive. I'm getting kind of quirky here, but it's this gradual build up. And then by the time I'm done, I'm ready for, 80s bands that can really let's put on some Foreigner and rock. So yeah, mine's more gradual.
Yeah.
I can't just start high. I've got to build it up.
Did you put together mixtapes when you were younger and you had those build and tell a story?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I miss those so much.
It can't be all rise.
Yeah.
You got to rise. You have to bring the album along or bring the playlist along. Mm-hmm. But by the end, I'm raring to go. It's going to be my day, and it's going to be awesome.
See, I start off strong, and I just crash and burn.
All rise.
Well, speaking of rising,
yes.
And we're talking about things that bring us joy, today's episode is all about joy.
Welcome to Sorta Sacred, conversations about the joys and challenges of life. Together, we're finding something sorta sacred, even in the most normal parts of our days.
One of the things that I think happens as humans is that we all lose momentum. I think the difference between choosing joy and toxic positivity is know thyself. Now, when I think about joy, thinking about connection.
Well, it's in our tagline every week, but this week we're talking about the joys of life. The whole focus is on joy. So for that topic, we are very excited to welcome Melissa Pepper. Melissa is mom to 2 incredible boys, wife to Dan, and chief strategy officer at Russell Construction, which is headquartered right here in the Quad Cities. Melissa is a community powerhouse, volunteering with so many organizations, I just couldn't choose them. There's so many to list. She's the founder of Lead Her, which I think is the coolest thing ever, a nonprofit connecting women with experienced leaders to fuel their careers and community engagement.
Melissa's career has spanned wildly different industries, shared services, legal, blood banking, construction, but there's a common thread, connecting people and activating change. Oh, and this year, her mantra is joy. Welcome, Melissa.
Thanks for having me.
Is a yearly mantra something that you've been doing for a while? And if so, how long and how do you select these mantras? Where did that come from?
You know, I think when I was early 20s, and I'm not, I know this is just audio, but I know I look like I'm still in my early 20s. I started thinking about mantras from a coach in the community, Jenny Wilson Peters. She was running Integrity Integrated, and she encouraged anyone really. I mean, she put it out on her Facebook. Hey, what's your word of the year? And so I've always been inspired by Jenny's leadership. And so I started doing it probably 15 years ago. But I would say this year, I think I've been more intentional about joy than maybe prior years, where just like anything, right, you get excited at the start of the year and then you lose your momentum. I think for whatever reason, this mantra, joy, has stuck.
I usually choose a word. I can't remember mine for this year. I crashed and burned.
Hey, give yourself some grace.
What are some past mantras? Because you mentioned you're more intentional about this one. What are some past mantras that you've chosen, and what did those look like?
One I know that I can remember. I also have a very bad memory, just really, really bad. But I do remember the one health. Because I have had an interesting journey with health, whether it was trying to have babies or, just kind of autoimmune stuff of life. And so that's one that I come back to time and time again. And while you can't think yourself to health, just really trying to connect with health and well-being is something that is just a part of my life and one of my core values as a person. And so I think that every couple years I come back to this sort of word of health that sort of helps me focus for the year on what that might look like.
So which ones have fallen flat?
I think that there's usually when there's something like passion or, just like, huge. Yeah, where it's like a little vague or like I did it half-heartedly. I can't point to a specific example of one that totally failed, but the ones that succeed are the ones that are aligned with my core values and not something where I'm trying to turn myself into a zebra when I'm really a chipmunk.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that phrase.
So what's your process for choosing? How do you decide?
Well, I can say that for this year, I was coming off of a hard last quarter. So a year ago, I was really sort of crashing and burning at work. I was feeling like I wasn't performing. I wasn't leading the way that I wanted to lead. And so I really wanted to think about, well, there's so much more to Melissa than Chief Strategy Officer. And that's a hard thing to come to, right? When we build so much, people who spend their days working in a building with other people are tending to really wrap your identity is wrapped around your title, or at least kind of the things that you produce, the outcomes that you achieve, your KPIs. And so last September, I was really feeling like that wasn't going so well for me. And so I really wanted to get back to, well, who is the Melissa that isn't maybe the Chief Strategy Officer? And I was talking to a coach about it, and she had me read the book. She encouraged me to read the book, Designing Your Life. And it's the concept of design thinking and really experimentation around what it is that really brings you joy. And so that's where the joy comes from for 2025. Year of Joy is really leaning into the parts of myself that, sure, some of them are at work, and we can talk about those today, but some of them are very much outside of work. And when I think about that word joy, it really is connecting with the parts of me that were maybe a little bit overlooked.
At the end of each year, do you go back and reflect on your word and what that's looked like in your life? What's the process?
I have this little gold book that my friend bought me. She bought them for me, and then herself, and then our other friend. And we do this exercise that is usually over a great beverage. And we will write down kind of what do we want the year to be like. And so in my little gold book, I did just do a check-in, and things are going well, because one of the things that I think happens as humans is that we all lose momentum. It's just nature to lose momentum. And so how do you prevent that is to do a more frequent check-in. And so my little gold book sits in my desk, and every time I open it up to grab a sticky note or find that business card that I can't find, I see it there, and I'm like, maybe I should check in and see how the year is going. And so I think for me, writing it down and reflecting, and then I'm also journaling this year, which is something that I hadn't done. Well, I'd done in a way back, but hadn't done a lot in my adult life, if you will, but journaling with prompts. And that is helping me also kind of connect to this word this year. So one of the things I think about when I think about the word is that it's a process goal, not an outcome goal. I'm not trying to achieve lifting more weights, or, I mean, that would be nice, or, eating more kale. I don't like kale, and I will say it here first. But what I think the year mantra is helping me do is enjoy the process. And that writing in my little gold book and kind of seeing, how do I feel? How is this making me feel? Which is not my natural inclination. That's why I'm good at what I do most days at work, is because I am outcome driven. But I think that getting in touch with the other side of Melissa, that is more of that process, not the outcome, has been fun.
As you reflect and journal, are you intentional about splitting your life? There's the work side and the home side. Is that a different process, a different reflection tool?
Good question. So that's something in designing your life, and I do recommend this book.
I'm writing this book.
I can't recall the authors off the top of my head, but they really encourage you to think about yourself as its play and work and life as all sort of these streams or strings, or what, and they're using better words, and certainly I encourage everyone to check out the book, but to not try to be like, to bifurcate your brain or your heart or whatever it is. And so I don't do that, but I do use the Clever Fox journal too, which helps me because it has you really look at how did you do every month in terms of the energy that you spent on your spouse and your kids and your friends and your fun and your finances and your work. And so it has it in a little wheel. And so every month I kind of color in like, oh, didn't do so hot on my finances, or whatever. And so I try to look at it differently than I used to, for sure. And this is still a journey. I am by no means saying that I have it all figured out, but I do not journal kind of thinking with my work hat on or my personal hat on anymore. I'm thinking in terms of the business, family, spouse, fun, always fun.
Always fun. You have to add the fun.
And that's a core value for me, fun.
Yeah. What are your core values? You've mentioned those a few times.
Thank you. So impactful work, independence. I want to be able to do what I want. Family, integrity, authenticity.
How do those drive your life?
Oh, good question. So I would say that a lot of days they're not like, I'm not like wearing them on a t-shirt, right? But I should probably get a t-shirt. Thank you for thank you for suggesting it. That's really good. A t-shirt's coming. I would say that they drive my my Clever Fox journal for the year, and when I think about my word and how do I do more of this or less of this, and when I am unhappy, it comes down to, ooh, my leash is too short. Like I'm not able to do what I want to do. I must have a job that's flexible. I must be able to go with the flow. After work, we're going to have pizza, but now we're going to have cheeseburgers. Like I love to be able to like drop things on a dime, and now we're going here. And I am at my happiest when I am able to be flexible. I am truthful to a fault. So if I have to not be in that mode for some reason, it feels very uncomfortable. Impactful and meaningful work. I have to be doing a job where I feel like I'm doing so much more than impacting, bottom line or something like that. So I think it really is like in my work, in my community giving, how I'm raising my kids. I hope that they feel those things, and that I'm just like a real person. I think that, you meet a lot of you meet your heroes sometimes, and you're like, oh no,
they're broken.
And I hope my goal is when my funeral is here at St. Paul, it's bursting with the seams that people are like, she made us laugh and she made us feel seen. And so I think about that. I think about it. I don't know. That's probably maybe a very weird thing to think about, but I'm like, I want people to say like, oh, we laughed so hard with her.
Yeah. That's something I think about too. I don't know. Is that something you think about?
No.
Really?
No.
Well, maybe now.
So when it comes to my funeral, I have my funeral planned. Like I know who's doing what, the scripture, the hymns, it's all done. Wow. But as far as what people are going to say about me, I've thought about that, but it's not central. It's not something I use as a. I'm not saying you use it as a decision-making tool, right? But I never think, I wonder what they're going to say about this Sorta Sacred podcast that we tried when I was 42. That doesn't come up.
And see, I would have no basis for hymns or what I would want that to look like. I'm thinking like, here's the food. I want some confetti cannons. I want people to have a good time. Then that's it,
But I do like that notion. You want people to talk about how they laughed with you.
Yeah.
And how they felt seen by you.
Yeah, I hope so.
And how she was flexible, which I love that that's one of your values, that flexibility in life, that independence.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what people remember is how you made them feel. They don't remember what you were wearing on any given day or the words you said, but how you made them
Other
feel.
than today. Come on.
I'm not. That's unforgettable. Unforgettable. How do you distinguish between the pursuit of joy versus chasing happiness? How has that evolved over the year?
Oh, it's so good. So I think when I started the year of joy, I was like a little bit mad at the world. So I had good intentions, but I was also a little bit mad. And so I think I was chasing happiness. I think I was like, I'm going to go to this thing and have fun, and we're going to have a fun year. And I think that's how it started, but how it's going is more when I think about the definition of joy for me. And I was seeing if this landed with Dan last night, and he said it did. So, props to Dan for agreeing with me. We are now, when I think about joy, thinking about connection. And so I'm seeking a year of joy, which means a year of connection, whether it's with the things that I love that maybe I wasn't tapping into because work had become my whole identity, or connection with friends, or connection with Dan, connection with my kids. There were, when you think about the gas tanks, like the different dials for all those different areas, I think the work one was all the way to, it was like, oh, she's given all of her energy to work. But my dials for friends and family and kids and Dan were not. And so I think that this year of joy really has transformed. And what my intention is for the next, 3 months is that continued connection. So sure, chasing happiness has occurred. Absolutely. Going to a sporting event with our kids and just like laughing and cheering and fist bumping with all the people in our section. Like that's happiness, but it's also like a core memory with my kids and like something that we really are like, it was on our family bucket list that we created in January. And so I think that for me, joy is about connection. I don't find a lot of joy by myself. That's not how I'm wired. But I'm really, really joyful when I can host my friends for dinner. Or really, really joyful when like we're going to see my family and see my sister in a musical. Like, oh, it's like, this is wonderful. I get to watch a musical and my sister's so talented. We got matching t-shirts and we all wore these like ridiculous punny, like bad puns. I mean, just in my hometown, I mean, it just checked so many boxes for joy, and was also happy.
You mentioned connecting with things you enjoy outside of work and family. Are there some things that you've been able to reconnect with over this year that you hadn't really done as much in the past?
Good question. So one would be reading, which sounds really like, wow, good job reading. But I would say reading for pleasure for sure has been, I'm always reading leadership books. Oh, I could tell you all the ones that I've read and they're all wonderful and I do enjoy them. But like reading for fun, I would say would be something that like, that was like, when I think somebody said this to me once, or it was in a book or a really brilliant podcast like this one, like, what did your 11-year-old self like to do? And my 11-year-old self was a reader. I was reading Anne of Green Gables and Laura Ingalls Wilder books like it was my job. And so I think that would be one example, which is a solo activity, but it has been bringing me joy. And I would think the other one would be, which I have been doing in the past, but really leaning into, is entertaining. Love and not like da 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 on stage, which is that's also fun. But entertaining our friends and cooking up a storm and serving people and plating it and handing it to them and hearing them be like, "This is so good." I mean, just feeding people.
There's no greater connection than feeding people, sitting around a table and eating food.
Yes, I just watch them, take their first bite.
In my house, we call them yummy noises. When there's a good meal, it's like, And it's just like that. These, I don't know if people are surprised that the food is good, but and maybe I should interpret that. But I just love sitting back and waiting for the yummy noises.
Sometimes I'm surprised if the food is good.
I know.
And then you can give yourself the yummy noises.
Yes. Those would be the two that come to mind.
So a bit ago, you talked about that fuel gauge for work was full, and the others were getting empty. How did you go about balancing that out? And did filling one take away from another?
Ooh. So one thing that I really needed to do was, therapy. So really needed to lean into, why do I put all of my like energy into work? Why? And it's like, right, when you're getting a good response, you're going to continue going to that because you're getting a really good response. And so there's a lot of history of the Melissa of the past to now that's gotten good responses from working hard. And so being able to talk about that and really strip down the why of like that achiever and the perfectionism that I have was certainly an interesting and ongoing journey in therapy to be able to say, okay, you are not your title. You are worthy. Even when you aren't at work, you are worthy, and really believing that. And that also helps me understand that while I still am very committed and devoted to my team and to our mission at Russell, I really, really like what I do. And feel fortunate to get to do it. It doesn't define me like it did before, and I'm really proud that I can say that because it was not easy at all. It was very, very hard work, and that has allowed me to say, let it go. And so I'm able to lean into the other areas at work and lead my team really authentically because they know I'm in a year of joy and they know that I'm working on this. And so that gives them permission to also not be defined solely by their job descriptions.
That's fascinating how that overflows into the other people around you. I love that.
Well, and I just have to tell myself, like, and not that, and I don't mean this flippantly, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I want to do a good job, a great job. And I can go home and just put the phone in the basket and be, and that is very freeing. And what's amazing, I'm still doing a good job. And I'm still employed. And the life keeps going. And I think that having that realization, it was like I wasn't giving myself permission. No one at work is cracking a whip at my back every day. No one is doing that. It's me. It's self-created. And I think so much of us who are, millennials, we do tend to fall into that stereotype, I would say, of just sort of like achieve, and looking for the next gold star.
Guilty.
Yep. Same. Thanks for naming that.
I had a hard time with that myself. That's been a journey for me too, is putting the phone down at home, not answering work emails or chats, and focusing on my family and not being slightly divided. Because I would notice, okay, I'm with my family and I'm looking at my family, but right back here, I'm thinking about this thing. And you've been great about modeling that as, a leader. That's what we should be doing because you are so intentional with your family. And I think that's helped a lot of people here, seeing you do that and saying this is really important too.
No one is going to be their best at work if they can't let go of that work. If they can't go home and be mom, dad, loved one, you can't do it. But no, thanks for saying that. But it does affect those around you, and it's important to set that tone from the lead chair, so that people can take care of themselves. It's really, really important.
What does joy look like in your daily life, both the big moments and the ordinary, the normal things?
Ooh, joy today. Biaggi's, not a sponsor. Biaggi's was a joy for us today. I got to feed my team. Speaking of feeding people, there's no greater joy than feeding people Biaggi's, apparently. So just delicious gluten-free pasta. What a joy. It's such a small thing, but I'm like, what a great day. I get to eat Biaggi's. I would say too, this morning I rode on my bike, the Peloton bike, for the first time since I fell this summer. So I was able to ride and I didn't die because I was really starting to think that I might halfway through the ride. It was really, really hard. I feel really accomplished, and it wasn't, work related. It was a huge accomplishment to get back on that stupid torture device. But I was so sweaty, and that was really joyful. And the music was bumping. Speaking of, your music to pump you up, there was some really good, like a prayer. I mean, that really helped. That really helped me.
Yes.
I don't know if that is appropriate or sorta sacred, but
of course it
that
is.
was a delightful end to the ride that really got me through. So I would say though, like those sorts of things, really trying to noticing as a practice. So actually, when I had a lot going on this morning at work, and so I wanted to come in here really present and not sort of like frenetic. And so I sat on the bench outside for 15 minutes and just sat on the bench. And I'm like, look at all the trees, and I can hear the kids at the playground and like people coming and going. And it just like really brought me joy. And it wasn't some big thing that, needs to be celebrated. It was just like me sitting on this bench by myself.
That's just wonderful, though. It's I know in the days that I have that are just absolutely overloaded, the first thing I do is spend more time in prayer than I otherwise would, because it's going to be too much during the day. I have no spare minutes, but I'm going to spend more time in prayer. That intentional time to sit down and find some joy in that. That's beautiful. I'm glad you took that moment. That's self-aware and wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, you would have gotten a little bit of a different Melissa if I wouldn't have done that, which maybe would have been fun too. You
never know.
Never know.
I actually moved a meeting up a half an hour earlier, so I had time to sit and just think and center myself for this, because life moves so fast. And if I don't find those slow moments, I'm not walking in the door as my best self. I'm frazzled, and I'm not thinking as rationally or as deeply as I know that I would otherwise.
One of the things I'm reading Kate Bowler's devotional right now. Ooh, you're going to have to add it in post. I know.
Fix it in post.
She has many books that are really lovely, but this is a devotional, 40-ish devotionals. And so I've been reading that in the morning instead of scrolling Instagram. And I would say that's also part of my year of joy is connecting with there's always some sort of spiritual component, but it's also just a chance to sort of get ready for the day. So after Torture Device, I sit and read Kate Bowler. Talk about juxtaposition.
I love it.
Peloton instructors yelling at you, and then quiet time with Kate Bowler.
Perfect. I need Kate Bowler to read to me while I'm on the bike.
Oh, that could be.
I'd give up.
She would just be like, "Dear one, get off the bike. Rest your soul."
That may not be what you need when you're on the bike.
No, that's not what I need. I need someone yelling at me.
Yeah, that's
to keep going.
Shout out to Kate Bowler and her wonderful podcast.
A bit ago, you mentioned some health challenges, some medical challenges you've had this year. How did the joy mantra hold up in all of that? And how does it hold up when life gets messy?
Oh, great question. I would say I am not a superstar, resilient and joyful sufferer.
There aren't many of those.
Is anyone? I do think that, so for those listening to the pod, I fainted and hit my head. And so I had a nice concussion and a pretty stiff neck for most of the summer. And physical therapy and just having to not do the things that I like to do, like, turn my head. Because I love to do that, and I wasn't able to. And I wasn't able to work out. I was not able to sleep because concussions cause sometimes, you have insomnia. And I am a good sleeper, like really good sleeper. So that was unfortunate. And so I would say that I at first was a real Debbie Downer. I would not give myself any gold stars for how I handled my first couple weeks in pain, in my bed. I was a lump of sadness, but I did start watching The Crown 10 years late. I mean, really into it, really. So I did find some joy with that. But I would say that as I was in bed, one of the things that was really, really neat that happened was the outpouring of connection, going back to the definition of joy, that people came to me. And I was feeling sorry for myself, lonely, bored out of my mind. And I had friends delivering things to me every single day. Coffee and gluten-free banana bread and balloons, because why not? And my favorite topics magazines, bushels of them, and just making sure that I wasn't going crazy, and then yelling at me when I tried to work and telling me, stop it, you're not supposed to go back to work, we're going to tattle on you. And just really supporting Dan and the boys, because it takes, both of us to run our household, and I was not able to. And so they were helping out with things with Dan and the boys, and it just really made me feel a lot of love. So while I would not say that I was maybe connecting the way that I wanted to, I was learning how to be a receiver. And I am not one who likes to ask for help. And so that taught me that I was truly limited in what I could do. So I was forced. But it really did teach me wow, you have amazing friends. And I was so, so, so grateful. I remember writing and journaling about that, how loved I felt, how appreciated I felt. And that's a form of joy.
What was something unexpected that came from that?
I think that I, through that, discovered that the invisible that people have, I looked healthy. People are like, you don't look hurt. So helpful, by the way. Thanks. But it made me, I think, more compassionate for other people who are going through things that you can't see, because on the outside, I looked completely healthy. But concussions are really silently destructive. And I'm still experiencing the after effects of the concussion, balance issues, memory issues. And so the road is long in those types of injuries. And so I do think it made me reflect like, wow, I might have been a jerk before because I don't think that I have fully appreciated what people are going through. So I think it taught me a little bit about empathy and compassion.
When joy has felt elusive, what do you do? Do you have a joy reset practice? Do you turn back to the gold book? What do you do?
Great question, because I think that the answer has changed over time. And it also goes back to your conversation at the start of like like how do you pump yourself up? I think that I would have probably said like, oh, I need to not snap out of it, but I'm like, oh, I can't be down. And now I think that this year I'm doing a better job of self-awareness and noticing my triggers of what upsets me or what a bad day looks like at work, or, I'm able to better notice like, why am I frustrated by this? And like really do a better job of self-reflection or journaling to figure it out. And so I let myself be that. And I think that helps a lot. I also am pretty good at, sharing with Dan or the boys, like, I need all of you to go. Speaking of connection or the lag, sometimes for me, while I am extremely extroverted and genuinely love to be in connection with others, when joy is not there, it's typically because my core values have been compromised or, so I'm feeling like I don't have flexibility. I'm feeling like I'm not making an impact. I'm feeling like I'm not, and so then I tend to need to be by myself. And so I think that's a good reset for me is I need to sort of like power down and reflect on it. And then I also am one who, after that, then I'm like, ooh, I'm going to lean so hard into the, to like almost overcompensate. But I think in the past I would have tried to like either power through it and then just become even like more of a monster sort of thing, like rage monster, mad at the world, not really know why. All of a sudden I'm really short with Dan or I'm, flipping out when it's like not a big deal. I think that this year has helped me grow in that self-awareness.
You've touched on this a little bit, but I wonder if you could talk about the difference between joy and toxic positivity.
Joy and toxic positivity. So interesting that term seems to be coming, like I didn't know it was a phrase until, not that, recently. And so I always have considered myself a positive person. And I think that in order to be authentic, speaking of core values, the toxic positivity isn't going to work for me. Because if I'm having a bad day, I'm going to be like, I'm having a bad day today. I need a minute. Or I'll clear, to the extent I have flexibility, I'll kind of clear room to be able to work on some things by myself where I know I won't impact people with my bad mood. And so I think the difference between choosing joy and toxic positivity is know thyself. Mm-hmm. Because I think that the toxic positivity might be something that you as a person, you might feel you have to do. Oh, we have to be don't be a downer. And it's like, no. And I know people like that. And so all of us do. And it might be that they're just not self-aware, thinking through how that might be affecting others or how it's affecting themselves. They don't want to get in touch with maybe what they're really feeling. Whereas choosing joy isn't always choosing to have a smile on. It's really choosing to know what brings you joy and how to reset when things aren't going well. So I'm probably still guilty sometimes of toxic positivity, like maybe when my boys are in the backseat fighting and I'm just like, stop it and just love each other. So if that, then I'm guilty of it. But other than that, I think I'm trying, yesterday I was having a bad day and not for any like good reason. I just wasn't feeling it. And a team member reached out and said, hey, what's going on? Do you want to, do this meeting? And I said, no, I don't. I am not having a great day. and I want to connect with you, and let's find a time on the other day. And she sent me a thank you. She was like, oh my gosh, how refreshing that you were able to share with me that you were having a bad day.
How has joy influenced your professional life, your decision making, and how does that show up in your more strategic conversations and planning?
I was in Virginia for work a couple weeks ago. We are not building anything in Virginia, but we were there meeting with our cohort of construction companies of a similar size. And we talk about the topics of, how are we going to have a labor supply when the average age of a superintendent running a project is in the, upper 50s. And so do we have the labor force, and what are we going to do about AI, and how is that going to change our industry? And, how are data centers going to impact, everybody's construction labor market when all of this labor is going to data centers? How are we going to build schools and churches and libraries and pools and things like that? And so these were the conversations that we as leaders were wrestling with. And these were serious topics. And yet, I think when you make sure that in those conversations, you're still making room for connection amongst the peers, that you're not approaching these heavy or difficult strategic conversations just sort of with like, what are we going to do about it? But really trying to know these companies and what drives them and what these fellow executives around the table, you can have like a little bit of fun. And I will share that when I got home back to this great state and sat at my desk and sent a couple notes to the peers, and I said, hey, I just wanted to share with you that I really admire your leadership and, the way that you approach culture and your people. And they have something called raving fans model, both internally and externally. How do they create more raving fans for their company? And he wrote back and he said, thank you for that. I just wanted to share with you that you know how to bring strategy to fun. And like that, those both can happen in the same room. Like you can be a professional and I was like, this is the greatest compliment I've ever received. And so to your original question, like how do you approach, it's like that connection and that ability to take the work seriously, but not ourselves seriously is a phrase I use a lot at work. And I think that gives an opportunity for joy, not just laughter or silliness, which are also really good things, especially at work. But the ability to really connect with each leader and their purpose and what they're trying to achieve in their company, I think makes me a more empathetic and well-rounded executive.
That's fabulous.
So you're constantly anticipating what's next. How do you stay present and joyful when your job is to look forward?
That's hard because I have a hard time staying present. And I think that I can do it. And I have, we probably all done 12 personality tests over the last 12 years. And the one that I come back to that just sometimes like the oldies are the goodies, Strengths Finder, let's not replace it. I'm a lover of StrengthsFinder because it's words. Don't give me acronyms, no hate but it's like, were you a JJJ5543? And it's like, well, I don't know, maybe, but it doesn't tell me diddly about who you are or who I am. But StrengthsFinder leans into the power of words. And one of my strengths is futuristic. So I am in the right job. Hooray, nailed it. But I do have a hard time being in the present because my natural inclination is to think about what we're going to do tomorrow and in 3 years. And I do have a really hard time being like, but today we need to get this proposal out the door. I'm like, boring. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, that doesn't sound like any fun. Because there's like a lot of lines and grids and rules, and I don't like rules. So I would say that I do have a hard time being present, but when I can achieve it is when I am in a one-on-one situation with a team member and I'm really trying to get curious. My coach and I are really working on curiosity. I'm also not a naturally curious person. So I have to work on that. It's a muscle I have to work to achieve. And so sitting with one of my team members one-on-one and really working on curiosity and asking more questions, that's how I'm able to stay present, which I think when I look at my day, I'm like, wow, that was a good meeting. That felt good. That brought me fulfillment at work. Versus, I mean, I do a lot of spreadsheets and cool bars and graphs and things like that too.
Do rules butt up against your flexibility? Is that what you don't like about rules?
Yes, rules. Eek.
Are there any rules that you find joy in?
The Oxford comma.
I just had this debate yesterday. Thank you.
There's very few rules in this life. That is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I like you even more now.
Yep.
Thank you for bringing that up, because you're right. Of course you're right.
Thank you. I mean, I did major in English.
You do a lot of community engagement, a lot of volunteerism. How does joy factor into what you give back?
Well, if you are in this building at 10:15 on Sunday, which I know you are, just head on down to the kindergarten, first grade Sunday school classroom, because that is joy. Right there, I share with people, you know, I get to do some really cool things in this community, and I don't take that for granted. But I think one of the coolest volunteer gigs I have is teaching Sunday school to kindergartners and first graders. And the joy that I get to have of like the hugs and the answer is always Jesus, by the way. I'll be like, what is this story about? And it's actually not about Jesus, but the answer is always Jesus and love others. And that's right. They're getting it. I'm an amazing teacher. So great job to the St. Paul kindergartners and first graders. Shout out to all of them. I think joy in community engagement also is being able to give the gifts that I have to the community, because I feel really fortunate that when I've needed help, I have been, and not in like a tit for tat, not at all. Just like, wow, how do I like give to what this community is just so awesome, and I want to give, and I want to see our community thrive, and so that brings me a lot of joy too, and just that gratitude, you know, that comes from. I was at a Lead Her event a couple months ago, and one of the women came up to me and she said, you don't know me, but I saw a post that you made about being brave, and I decided to go to a leader huddle, and then I got a mentor, and then from the mentor, I was able to get a different job, and now I'm in a promotion from that job, and it's not about promotions, or it's like at the heart of the matter, like those are great, and I'm really happy for her, but it's like she achieved the goals that she set for herself, and if we can help through Leader, if we can help more women achieve the goals that they set for themselves, that's what sets my heart on fire. It's like, how do we have more people just really feeling called to do what they feel meant to do? And so that brings me a lot of joy. Like I like cry when I go to leader events because I'm like overcome with gratitude. Same thing for Augustana. Like I literally like shed tears, become verklempt when I volunteer at Augustana because I love Augustana so much. And so I think it's also about like a deep, deep love for what Augustana or leader or, you know, I'm really, really passionate about moms and babies. And, so, you know, and so like how, like just a love for the people that we're serving and hoping that they, like, will they be all right? Will they be all right? That's what I want. I want them to be all right.
This is something I saw earlier this year that a friend posted, and I thought it was so incredible, is the Whisper Network. So you gave a presentation at Women Lead Change about the Whisper Network. What is that? Tell me all about it.
Oh, man. It was a good time, for one. So Amy Jones and Angie Kendall and I presented for Women Lead Change about the Whisper Network, which is really what people are saying about you when you're not in the room, which could be construed as gossip or a bad thing. But in this context, it's actually a very good thing. So for example, if you're in a room and you say, who should be on this committee, or who might we tap to come speak at our church or at our function, or who might we invite to this table, whatever this table might offer. The Whisper Network says that you're putting forth women who may not even know that you're putting their name forward, and you're really supporting them and championing them. One of the things that we talk about with the Whisper Network, though, is that if you are a person in this world who has a dream or a hope, you should whisper it into the world, right? And so people can't read your mind and know what all of your hopes and dreams, like you don't get what you don't ask for, is something that I live by. And you don't always get it if you ask for it, but if you don't ask, you're really not going to get it. And so really speaking into the world and being brave about this is something that I'm really passionate about, or this is a goal that I have, or this is my mantra for the year, whatever it might be. It's our duty to help each other. And so why not help the person that you have nothing to gain from putting their name forward. And so that's what we talked about in a way that's more eloquent than I can say alone. I have to have my pals with me to articulate it really well. But I think it's a powerful way to spread joy too, because you're creating a little bit of a connection point that is invisible throughout the community. And so you're sort of passing it on. Kindness, pass it on, billboards, but in vocal form.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert. What's coming next year? Have you landed? What is 2026 mantra? What are you anticipating?
Oh, wow. If I told you,
then we would be able to help you.
Yeah.
Gosh, well, you would think because my life is the futuristic strength that I'm always planning, like I would have it, but I don't. Right now I'm like, gosh, maybe it's a year of joy again. I part of me thinks, gosh, I'm nowhere near perfecting this. This could be a lifelong, journey of joy, and that might be sort of fun too. And maybe I need to retire the annual word and go to, maybe I look at, when I think about not even the quadrants, the pizza pie of the different, areas, financial, spouse, fun, work, maybe I need to look at those closer and say, is there anything in those that I learned this year that I want to tease out even more in 2026?
Keep us in the loop.
I will.
I want to know where you land with this.
I will.
This is good.
I will.
Okay, our final wrap-up question for all the listeners. If someone listening was inspired by this and they want to experiment with selecting a mantra for themselves, what advice would you give them? Where do they start?
I think you should read the Designing Your Life book. Or a book like it that really has you reflect on the person that you are, where do you gravitate? Where does your energy, what fills you, what depletes you, it is a exercise that we're all just trying to be human. It's hard. It's so hard. And so I would start with that, and maybe not a word, but just where do you notice through the journaling about what lights you up and what doesn't? Like, what do you want to do more of or less of? And that's what I have found to be useful and has made this year very, very gratifying and a really good year of joy.
What are 3 songs on your playlist?
I do anything Noah Kahn. So I just if I am in the car, I'm probably listening to the Lumineers. I'm very boring. Lumineers, Mumford & Sons, Noah Kahn, or going to throw you for a real loop. So also I don't know song names. You guys impressed me so much listing all these songs. Dan is rolling his eyes right now. I'm very sorry, Dan. I don't know song names.
Well, I did have to go through my playlist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
These weren't just off the top.
Okay.
This was scroll. Yes.
So those are the bands that I listen to the most. I gravitate toward. Or if I'm cleaning my house, Rat Pack Radio.
Nice.
Just a jazzy little something to mop those floors. Mm-hmm. Rat Pack Radio.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, many thanks to you, Melissa, for reminding us that joy isn't just something that happens to us. It's something we can choose, even in the most messy parts of life. Whether it's a yearly mantra or a playlist that lifts your spirits, we hope this conversation today inspires you to find your own version of joy in the everyday.